With that in mind, summer weather's here, the economy's rebounded, and many of us are thinking about where we will vacation. It's even prompted some to start thinking about buying a vacation or second home. There's a lot, though, to consider before you plunk down your money. And here with everything you need to know is Fox 29 consumer lawyer and advocate Shari Olefson. Thanks for joining us.
Sure. Good morning, Roxanne.
It's not as out of reach as some may think, is it, to buy a second home?
No, and that's the thing. Some of us still think of lifestyles of the rich and famous when we talk about vacation homes. But for a typical vacation home buyer today, she's maybe in her early 40s. She's earning around $85,000 a year, and she's paying under $170,000 for that second home. So it is actually more accessible than we think. And one of the things that's really driving the popularity of these second homes and vacation homes has nothing to do with real estate, Roxanne. It's because of all these websites that have popped up now that connect folks who are thinking about taking a vacation with folks who own the vacation homes. We never had that before. So it's just making it more top of mind for potential renters and for potential landlords. Though I would still recommend, if you're going to consider this, to work with a realtor, because you have emergencies come up, you really need a local contact.
That's a really good point. That was what I was going to kind of bring up in the next question of what else do you need to consider if you're going to buy a second home? What else is there besides, somebody might say, well, gee, I can afford that buying price,
right,
the list
and it looks
price.
like fun. It looks like a fun place to go.
Right.
Well, first and foremost, this is really an investment. So that really distinguishes a little bit from your primary residence, because your primary residence, everyone needs a place to live. So you need to think about how it fits in terms of diversifying your investments, also how long you want to have the money tied up, anything you would think of when you think of investing in general. When it comes to location, just like a primary residence, you do want to think about resale value, but you also want to think about the distance from your home. The average distance most folks are buying is about 100 miles from their home, because you want it to be easy to get to and also easy for maintenance. And last are costs. There are some costs that are different. For example, vacation homes tend to be in areas like beaches and mountains where the weather, the natural elements, are harder. So I suggest setting aside at least 2% for those added expenses.
Are they good tax write-offs for people?
Well, that's the other thing. A lot of folks are talking about retiring in these second homes. So you want to look at the income tax and the estate tax issues wherever you plan on buying. And also, for example, the mortgage deduction applies to second homes, but you have to be careful that you use the home a certain number of days a year,
okay.
and there's a cap on how often you can rent it.
So, okay, I've done all that. I've looked into all this. Now, what are the first steps I need to do as I start to look for this home? You mentioned hire a real estate agent.
You're going to look at the home prices, but you also want to look at the rental situation. And real estate agent is important. For example, I've got a rental property, and I had a tenant moving in about a month ago, and at the last minute we found out the cable TV was broken. Fortunately, I had a local realtor. She was able to sit, you know how you have to go wait for the cable guy to show up. I would have lost thousands of dollars in income if I didn't have a local realtor. So finding a local realtor is important. And then the last thing, Roxanne, is financing a second home is a little bit different. Your down payment's going to have to be bigger than a primary residence. Your credit score has to be cleaner. You have to look better on paper than for a primary residence.
A lot of due diligence before you get right into that.
But it's well worth looking at. Second home sales were up by about 30% last year, but they're still about a third down from where the peak was, which means that there's still plenty of opportunity.
All right, thanks. So that's good info, too. We'll end on that. Let's go back to the anchor desk. Thanks, Shari.